Now we're ready to start.
That's your cue.
All right, it is 9:06. This is Wednesday, April 13th. This is a meeting of the Town of Brookhaven's Local Development Corporation. Following directors are present: Mr. Callahan, Mr. Grucci, Ms. Paprocki, Mr. Polakowski, Mrs. Scheit, Mr. Trotter, Mr. Braun. A quorum is present. Lisa?
Today's meeting has been convened in accordance with Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, effective September 2nd, 2021 through April 15th, 2022, permitting local governments to hold public meetings by telephone and video conference.
Thank you. Minutes of our meeting of March 16th was sent to everyone. However, I'm going to defer acceptance of those meetings.
For the LDC too?
Yes.
Okay.
Till next meeting. The reason being there was a different transcriber who was unfamiliar with some of our terms and acronyms. And so those are going to be corrected and they'll be presented at the March meeting. Nothing substantive, but we want to make sure it's accurate. Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Included in your package is the February report for the LDC operating results for the month and for year to date. I just want to point out that for the month and year to date, we're pretty much on target as far as expenditures go with what's budgeted. And really the only revenue item we have is one of the annual admin fees. Other than that, nothing is significant to point out. All the admin fees have been paid for by all the projects as of the end of February. Are there any questions?
Hearing none, motion to accept Lori's report.
So
moved.
moved. Felix Grucci.
Second to Felix, Anne Marie.
On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. Unanimously carried.
The only other item I want to mention is that all the payments that are required contractually and by law have been made timely for the LDC.
Thank you.
Okay.
Lisa, do you want to talk about the resolution and the May meeting?
Yeah, I have two things I just wanted to mention. I think in the IDA packet, there was a press release that was included that indicates that in the budget part, one of the things that they passed was that we can have a hybrid option for our meetings. And what that basically means is that as long as we have 4 board members in the building or together wherever we've noticed the meeting, other board members can join through Zoom. We also have to make sure that the public can join either by, and I'm going to say Zoom, although really remote is more accurate. It doesn't have to be Zoom, but
Electronically.
I'm sorry,
Just say electronically.
electronically. So it could even be through a phone call, honestly, but electronically. But we also have to have the public have the option to meet wherever the 4 board members are in person. I'm sorry, Josh, will you let Annette in, please? So
That would work fine for me.
well, it only works fine if we have 4 people who are physically here. So,
Gotcha. No, I understand.
and I understand, Felix, that this is something that would be especially helpful for you right now. So I thought there was a few people I thought of when I thought of this option. But we have to have a we have to do, Annette has advised me we should do 2 resolutions. One, saying that we want to adopt this hybrid option. And it's only, right now, it only goes through January 1st of 2024, but that gives us a pretty good, period of time. But then there's also language in it that says that we have I'm going to call it a grace period for 60 days from when the budget was accepted. And my understanding, and Annette told me she has the same reading of it, although it wasn't totally clear, at least not to me, but that we can do, they're giving us a 60-day grace period where we don't have to have the 4 board members in the office. We can do just an electronic meeting for the next 60 days. So that basically can take us through, if we move our June meeting up, that can take us through May and June.
Yes,
So just some things for us to consider.
you're correct, Lisa. It's, it doesn't, it adds in the 60-day grace period at the end, and it doesn't say you have to do a resolution, but I would do one just to cover.
I'll offer the resolution. I'm not sure of the language that you want, but I'll offer the resolution.
Felix, hang on one second. Annette, do you want separate resolutions or everything incorporated in one?
So, no, you could do one resolution allowing for hybrid meetings and also allowing for the 60-day grace period to have fully Zoom meetings.
I second
Yeah,
Felix's resolution, whatever it says.
I'll offer the resolution that Annette just outlined.
All right. The
I
second
still
came
second
first,
Felix's
but that's okay.
All right, Anne Marie just said she seconded it. So we have Felix making the motion and Anne Marie seconded it.
This is hot off the presses, so
Wait,
that's,
we have to vote on this.
why not?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
do we have-
hot
do
off
we have
the
a
presses.
A
As a-
motion?
Yes, we do. On the vote, as long as we understand it, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes,
Ms. Barbracki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
One votes yes, the motion carries. May meeting.
Okay, so now that we have the option to do everything electronically, Fred has a conflict May 25th. It's a economic development conference that we always have. Fred, I can't think of a year when you've missed this conference. I have gone in the past, not as religiously as Fred goes, although I think I'm going to get to a point in my life where that's going to be a possibility again.
This is the annual New York State Economic Development Council
Mhm.
conference in Cooperstown.
Yeah. So it's on Fred will be there on the 25th. He's also a board member and they have their board meeting. So what we were thinking about is that we consider moving the May meeting to another day. And now we have a little more flexibility because since you just voted that grace period, we can do it virtually, electronically.
Mhm.
I just want
Fred,
to
would you be
remind,
able to join electronically from Cooperstown?
Probably not, because the board meeting up there will probably coincide with the board meeting here. If we set a different time, perhaps, but unclear.
Okay,
But what are you thinking, Lisa, as far as a date?
well, if we want to stick with May options, there's May 4th, May 11th, May 18th. I will just mention that May 18th, we do have, in the IDA, we have the Ron Cub public hearing, which when we get into the IDA, I'm going to ask if we want to consider doing that electronically as well. But does anybody, or any of those, May 11th is when also with the IDA and the LDC, we're thinking about doing that breakfast at Top Golf. So I don't, both of those days have
can't-
things going on.
I can't do May 11th.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's also May
May
4th.
4th works for me.
And for me,
May 4th is good. Is that too early?
I don't think so.
We-
Just put a gap between the May and the June meetings, but no, that's all right.
We're gonna have to move the June meeting up anyway in order to have the option to do it electronically.
Mhm.
Everybody okay for the 4th?
Good to me.
Good for me.
All right, let's
Works.
set it May 4th at 9 o'clock then.
I would make, do you need a motion?
I think so,
Yes.
because we had a motion to accept it, to set all the
Yeah.
meetings at the beginning of the year.
So I make a motion that we move it to the 4th at 9 AM.
I second that.
What is that? It's okay. On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
yes,
Mr. Trotter,
yes.
Ron votes yes, the motion carries. Lisa, you got anything else?
I don't believe so. I think that's everything for the LDC.
Okay, a motion to
Are you
adjourn.
guys hearing me?
Yes, yeah, Gary, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I didn't vote on that, but I vote yes. And I have a challenge in terms of the timing there because we have a full 2 days packed in our chambers. So
So May 4th doesn't work for you?
it might not, but I'm going to try to make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you said that before, Gary, we didn't hear that.
Yeah, sorry, that I
It
didn't
never
hear.
came through.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I think we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved.
Felix Grucci.
second to
Thank you
Felix.
again, Anne Marie. On the vote, Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Grucci,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Ron votes yes, our meeting is adjourned. Quickly, as we move over to the IDA, it is now 9:17. It is Wednesday, April 13th. This is a meeting of the Town of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency. The following board members are present: Mr. Callahan, Mr. Grucci, Ms. Paprocki, Mr. Polakowski, Ms. Scheit, Mr. Trotter, Mr. Braun. The quorum is present. Lisa?
Today's meeting has been convened in accordance with Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, effective September 2nd, 2021 through April 15th, 2022, permitting local governments to hold public meetings by telephone and video conference.
Minutes of our March 16th meeting was sent out. Similar to the LDC, we will defer those until the May meeting. Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, good morning. Included in your package is the operating report for the month of February and also year-to-date. We compare it to a pro rata share of the 2 months of the annual budget. And I just want to point some things out. During the month of February, we had one assignment and assumption. That's the revenue number you see. Most of the other expenses are in line as projected. And year-to-date, we are slightly ahead of what we projected. Are there any questions on the operating report for February versus budget?
If there are no questions, then I need a motion to accept Lori's report.
So moved. Marty Callahan.
Second,
Second, Anne Marie.
on the vote, Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, that motion carries.
I also want to mention two other things. One is that all the payments that have been made to us for pilots have been dispersed. All of our required contractual and legal payments for taxes, et cetera, have been paid timely. One last item I want to mention in my report is that we are looking to open an account at Hanover Bank, which is some of the former Empire Bank people have moved over. Hanover is a larger financial institution that has taken a big presence on Long Island with government banking. We have actually the town has significant funds there. We're not looking to change from Flushing, just add another account at another bank. They have committed to meet or exceed the rates at Flushing. Any comments on that?
Does this bank have any connection with what used to be called Manny Hanny?
No,
Yeah.
this is a fairly new bank, Anne Marie, and I think we're at the point in the size of our deposits where second bank is appropriate. Mike Lucarelli, who's the account manager there, came from Empire. I knew him at State Bank going way back. And then for the time being, this is just a certificate of deposit. If Flushing stubs its toe somewhere along the way, we at least have a second bank that knows us. But as Lori said, we're not looking to make a drastic change right now.
And-
Right, is Tom Bonayuno there too?
Not yet, not currently.
Oh, okay.
But the, also this bank can follow the government requirements as far as collateralizing our deposits, giving us the monthly statements, everything as in the past. So that is why we looked at it also.
So if everybody is in agreement with that, I'd like us to update our banking resolution, because as it stands right now, we have the authority to bank with Empire, but we're limited to,
Flushing.
I'm sorry, Flushing.
Sorry. I do it too.
We are limited, and I actually have it printed in front of me. I can look at it. We're limited to the bank that we currently have a relationship with. So I'd like to expand that to include Hanover, if that's something that everybody would like to do.
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Frank.
I'll second. Lenore Paprocchio.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lenore.
Any further questions? On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes,
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes,
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter.
Yes,
Rowan votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you. I'm going to suggest that we take an item out of order because I see that we have a guest in the attendee section. So I'm going to ask that we skip ahead to Pallets R Us. In your packets, there's a letter from Pressburg Law outlining this request. This Pallets R Us. Yes, Felix?
Lori, yeah, I just need to ask Annette a question.
Sure.
Annette, this organization bought some property from me. Should I recuse myself from this discussion and debate and vote?
Felix, we have a
You're
quorum.
muted, Annette.
Yeah, Felix?
Oh, there we go. Felix, recuse yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have enough people and it's always good to err on the side of recusal.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna turn my camera off and walk outside the room.
Okay. Thank you, Felix. Okay, so just to remind everybody, this is a project. This is a project that we've had a long relationship with. They're on Woodside. Pallets R Us, they make pallets, and they also, we've supported them not only through bonds when they originally built this building, but also they bought equipment to do a chipping operation, because when the wood for the pallets wasn't usable anymore, they use it for chipping for mulch, when they have a sister corporation that does mulch. They are looking to refinance their bonds, and they are asking to refinance bonds and some other loans, and they're asking the board for mortgage recording tax exemption. Bill, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, you described it accurately.
Okay,
And did you want to bring Drew in to talk?
I was just gonna say, Josh, will you bring Drew in? I think Drew's gonna be showing up. Yep. So if Drew Pressburg is counsel on this project. If anyone has any questions for Drew.
Morning, Drew.
Drew, you're muted.
Okay. Good morning. Hey, everybody. Nice to see everybody.
Hey, Drew.
So does anyone have any
been
questions?
good, sir.
Hearing none?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
The board is satisfied with Lisa's explanation, in which
Drew,
case.
Drew, do you have anything to add with regard to the request?
Not really, just that, they're refinancing, paying off the existing debt, paying off the SBA debt, using money for short-term capital. Nothing's being pulled out into their pockets. It's going back into the project. We just, need the, title is in the IDA on this one, so we need you to join in the mortgage and related documents, and we're asking to do the mortgage tax. We're gonna retire the bonds, and it's gonna be a clean new note and mortgage.
Thank you.
And this actually, when this goes through, will be the last outstanding bond in the IDA's name. When this one closes out, this will be the,
Wow.
we won't have any more bond financing. The LDC definitely has some, but Lori, I want to make sure you heard that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so going forward, the IDA will only have lease transactions in effect.
If there are no further questions, entertain a motion.
So move.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Second.
Seconded, Gary Polakowski.
Okay. On the vote then, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci.
He's
No, he's
recused.
abstaining.
Oh,
He's recused.
yes.
He's abstained.
Yep. Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Scheid,
Yes.
Trotter,
Yes.
one votes yes, the motion carries. Thank you, Drew.
thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks so much. I appreciate your consideration, always.
Take care, Drew.
Take care, Drew.
If I can get out of here. Okay, leave. Enjoy.
You're welcome to stay, Drew.
Let me get some billable hours in.
Lori, you want to let Felix know that he can come back in?
I got it. The next item on the agenda is, hold on. Maybe I shouldn't do this at the same time. Can somebody text Felix and just let him know that he can come back in?
I'm emailing him right now.
Thank you, Joss. Okay, the next item is Excel 6. So this, Bill, I'm going to turn this over to you to explain. This, just so everybody knows, this is the project on the South Service Road of the LIE. It's the extended stay hotel that was built a few years ago. It's what, you know where the Smoky Bones is? Not the
Yes.
hotel that's right on the expressway, but the one that's behind it in Ronkonkoma, just adjacent to the Ronkonkoma hub.
One
And
that took forever to build.
Correct.
yes,
This
Yeah,
is Lee
so-
Browning's project.
right, but
So
Lee
just-
never built it and now it's Excel 6. So they came to us with a request that I'm going to ask Bill to explain.
So you've got to go back more than 15 years ago. So where there's the two the two restaurants, there was the Marriott, Courtyard by Marriott, and then the extended stay. All of those properties were on one single lot. Because the Suffolk County Department of Health would not let them subdivide the property for the sewer connection. It was just it was a decision that was arbitrary and capricious. There was no rationale for it, but that's Suffolk County Department of Health. When we did the original financing, we did the two hotels, two restaurants, and the Courtyard by Marriott. And when it was one construction mortgage that was put on the entire lot, that paid the two hotels, excuse me, two restaurants and the hotel. That mortgage, because it covered the vacant lot where the second hotel was going to be built, prevented Lee Browning from ever building the second hotel, because the first bank wouldn't finance it, and any bank that came in afterwards would have had a second mortgage on what they're financing. So it really stymied his development there. When he sold the property, they eventually paid off, the XL paid off the existing mortgage. So they were able to then put a mortgage on the lot for the new hotel and got it built. Now, 15 years later, almost 20 years later, Suffolk County Department of Health has said, we shouldn't have all, two hotels and two restaurants all in one lot for the sewer. We want you to do condos to break it up so that there's separate lots for each user. you know, it's only taken them this many years. So that's basically what they're doing here. They're dividing up. They're still not doing a subdivision because they won't allow that, but there's going to be a commercial condo unit for each restaurant, the hotel, and each hotels. And that's basically we're not changing any of the pilots or anything like that, other than we'll have to just do amendments of legal descriptions for the new hotel. Everything else is out of the restaurants were never in the pilot, and the Courtyard by Marriott's out of the pilot. So it was really clean up with the condos for, you know, real property purposes. And, you know, had the county let us do this, you know, in the beginning, would have made life so much easier for everybody. So that's basically in a nutshell what we're doing here.
Bill, is this similar to what you had to do with Quality King a number of years ago?
Yeah, well, Quality King was to carve out the sewer treatment plant. When that got built, that was supposed to have gone to a separate lot just for the plant itself. You know, this is similar to what, you know, some other projects that I've worked on where we had one lot we couldn't divide and we put it into condos, and it works pretty well. It may also be a solution for another one of our projects so that they were looking to do a subdivision, but they can't. So it's a pretty good workaround for not being able to do subdivisions for unrelated reasons.
And any of your fees incurred for this get picked up by Excel, correct?
Correct. And your fees, the IDA's fees.
So we need a resolution to that effect.
So move.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Second,
Only 15 years too late.
Yeah, I mean, and ironically, I have another one with Suffolk County Department of Health where they're requiring a subdivision. You can't make it, you literally can't make this stuff up.
is there a second to Anne Marie's motion?
Lenore Paparocchio, second.
Thank you. On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Ms. Babraki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, that motion carries as well.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a resolution for Parthenon Acropolis 15 commercial. To remind everybody, this was an adaptive reuse project that we did last year, and they are in the new facility. As you'll see, in your packets, there was an email included. They're in the new facility, but they realize that they have a little more work to do. So they've asked if we would extend their completion date. I'm not so sure that we need to extend their full-time equivalent because they are physically in the facility. But they have asked for additional sales tax exemption. Howard, did I miss anything?
No, they just want to increase the sales tax by $5,000 from 20,000 to 25,000.
And extend the completion date to November 30th of
Correct.
2022.
Yep.
Have a motion?
So moved. Marty Callahan.
Thank you, Marty. Second,
Second.
Frank Trotta?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Babraki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Ron votes yes, that motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. I have two other items that I think are going to need resolutions. The first one is a request we received from 14 Glover. And to remind everybody, that is the Long Island Community Hospital facility on the former Foley Center. So the request that we have is to extend their completion date and also, well, and actually, you know what? You're right. Fred, Felix, you should recuse as well.
Okay, I'm gonna do the same.
Okay, thank you, Felix. Anne Marie, did you have a question?
No, I was just waving goodbye to Felix.
Okay, so just for the record, both Felix and Fred have left the meeting. So we got a request to extend their completion date and also to, we should also at the same time extend their full-time, their job creation numbers, their FTE requirement. Howard, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I don't know if anybody read the letter from their illustrious counsel.
Who happens to be on the call. So if you have any questions for their counsel, Mr. Weir, he's here as well.
It's basically changing it to reflect NYU Langone. Is that correct?
Yeah, and to give them
That's
additional
correct.
time so they can determine what is best, how to proceed in the future. And we've accommodated them before in this area because it's a unique circumstance.
Yeah, so it's the
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
as you know, this is NYU Langone's first foray into the Long Island market, and they're trying to. They need to do a thorough review of the healthcare needs in the Brookhaven community and what's needed. There's not a lot of space left on the hospital campus itself for any more. There's doing some additions right now, expansion of the emergency department, but there just not a lot of space there. And every just going back, you recall, Brookhaven Memorial Hospital, now the Long Island Community Hospital, was the last of the independents on Long Island. And so as NYU Langone is coming into a area that's kind of dominated primarily by Northwell, Catholic Health Services, and SUNY Stony Brook, they're trying to understand the overall need, and if they need places to expand services, 14 Glover would be the most reasonable place and advantageous place to do it because it's already owned by the hospital. But and the merger is not complete, so nothing can really happen until that merger is complete. There was an affiliation that was going to happen with SUNY Stony Brook, which kind of put this on hold, plus COVID had put this on hold. So it's just been a little bit of a delayed, for things out of the control of the hospital. And 14 Glover is actually a sister corporation to the hospital. 14 Glover, both of them went up to Brookhaven Healthcare Services Corporation as their parents at the time. And so they're still committed to it. It's just for reasons beyond the administration of the hospital, they haven't been able to get this thing to where they hope to be. But we are hoping by the end of 2024, it'll be fully built up, staffed, and providing services for the Brookhaven community.
This is not for the minutes, but this whole thing demonstrates once again.
Anne Marie, we are being recorded.
I didn't say that then. I just would observe to Mr. Weir that I think this is Langone's first foray into Suffolk County. They already have an affiliation with Winthrop Hospital in Nassau County.
You're correct. I meant Suffolk.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Did anyone have any questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Second, Lenore Paprocki.
Thank you, Lenore. So then, do we on the vote? Ms. Paprocki?
Yes.
Mr. Trotta?
Yes.
Ms. Scheit?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Okay, it passes. Fred, you can come back in. I just sent Felix a text, but Joss, will you email him as well?
I just did.
Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the remote options legislation. as we discussed in the LDC, thank you, Felix. As we discussed in the LDC, in the budget process, they passed legislation that allows us to have what they're calling hybrid meetings. So like I said before, as long as we have a quorum of board members physically wherever we posted the meeting, that gives other board members the option to participate electronically. So we need a resolution to allow that hybrid option, but there's also language in the law that allows us to have a 60-day grace period, which allows us to continue to have meetings electronically 60 days from the date of that the budget passed. So I'd like to suggest a resolution that we adopt the hybrid option as well as the 60-day grace period.
Motion by Frank Trotta,
Thank you, Frank.
Second, by-
Thank you, Gary.
Any questions? And I think the budget was passed last Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
I heard it was over the weekend, but it was sometime last
Yeah.
week.
Yep.
Friday, Saturday.
yeah, I think it was signed over the weekend.
On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Polakowski,
yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotta,
Yes,
Bruin votes yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is the Ron Cub public hearing. We previously set the public hearing for May 18th.
excuse me, I would ask that I be recused from this vote, so I will.
Yep. Thank you, Frank. Frank is recusing. We will bring you back in a few minutes.
Gotcha, just
Okay. Okay, so previously we voted to have the Ron Cub public hearing on May 18th at 1 o'clock in person, because at that time we weren't sure if the virtual option was going to get extended. And since we just voted to have the option to take that grace period option, this gives us the flexibility to have the May 18th meeting either virtually or in person, or I'm sure we would have the option for a hybrid. So I just wanted to put it back to the membership to see if there's a preference of either in person or virtually, electronically.
I'd be grateful for electronic, but it's not, I can do the other.
Okay.
I'm partial.
I would prefer electronic.
I agree with you, Felix. I mean, the one we did previously worked extremely well. It's coordinated very well by everyone, and I think electronic is the way to go, unless somebody has a preference for something else.
Electronic sign.
Lisa, did I hear you correctly that it would be at 1 o'clock? Because originally I thought it was 3:30, which is why I couldn't make it.
It was originally at 3:30, but
Okay.
at our last meeting, there was some, we had some conflicts.
Yes.
I mean, you certainly were one of them, but we found that if we moved it to 1 o'clock, which it's going to start at 1 o'clock, but I think we're all going to have to be now on at like 12:30, just to make sure all of the technology is running smoothly.
Okay.
But
How long do we anticipate it taking?
I honestly, our last hearing, I was ready for it to be, like we'd be here till
Midnight.
I even still have the snacks that Fred brought just in case we got hungry. We have them still. And we were done in 2 hours?
Two and a half hours. something like that.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad at all. So I don't expect it's going to be very long, but I can't really predict.
Okay. Well,
So
I'm gonna do my best. I mean, I can't walk out in the middle of it. That would look bad. I have a previous engagement that I need to be probably by, I could push it to 4. So that gives 1 to 4, 3 hours I could give
We
you.
should be done by 4, and if you can't, you can't, as long as we have a quorum remaining to be able to close the hearing.
I can leave. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put it in my book then.
I suspect that we will be done by 4, but you know, knocking on wood, famous last words. I don't want to say for sure.
Okay,
Unless Annette feels differently, I think we have a consensus that we're going to do it virtually. If she thinks we need a resolution, we'll do it. Annette?
Yes, please do a resolution.
Okay. Somebody care to move it then?
so
I'll
moved.
move the resolution. Felix Grucci.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Lenore.
On the vote then, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes,
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes,
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter.
He's
not being
here.
abstained.
Frank is
Oh, he
recused.
abstains, yep.
Excuse me again. Mr. Braun votes yes, the motion carries.
Okay,
And
I just emailed Frank.
somebody let Frank know that he can go back.
okay, thank you.
Quick question, Lisa. So I'm just trying to figure out my schedule for that day. It goes back to the May 4th event. That's a breakfast at Topgolf.
No,
Oh.
May 4th is our board meeting.
Okay, that'll be our board meeting.
Yes,
In the morning.
which we actually need to vote officially, and it's, at least right now, it's just our LDC. I assume we're gonna do the same thing for the IDA. May
Okay.
11th is the breakfast at Topgolf.
Got it. Okay.
May 18th is the Ron Cub public hearing.
Right, which we've just voted on. Okay. Just as far as that particular date goes,
Which one?
and the 4th, do we have the option to do that through Zoom?
Yeah,
Yes.
We do. Oh,
yeah,
Yes.
that's what we just voted on. The, right before this one was the grace period option.
got it. Okay.
My feeling or my thought on this is that I'm assuming that the IDA is gonna also do May 4th. Let's just go with that for right now until we vote on it officially. But May 4th will be virtual.
Okay.
May 11th, as it's a networking event, will be in person at Topgolf. And then May 18th,
Well, May 11th. What time is May 11th?
you know what, guys, I apologize. We're gonna have Brian from Todd's team come in and join. It is 9 a.m.
Lisa, Jocelyn or someone will send out the invitations for all of this so we can calendar them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I won't be able to be there.
Which one, Frank?
May 11th.
Okay, that's fine. It's a networking event. We would love to have as many board members there as possible, but I totally understand if you can't be there. We had limited choices on dates, and that was the date that it seemed like there was the most consensus around.
who are we networking with?
What?
Besides ourselves.
Wait, you don't want to just hang out with us? I'm
Yeah,
just
of course I do, but that's besides the point.
So when Brian does his presentation in a couple of minutes, I think we should ask the questions about that event to Brian. And honestly, we have a flyer. I just got it this morning, so I need to review a few things first before we send it around. But if you have people you'd like to invite, that would be awesome. But let's, if you don't mind, let's hold those just for a couple of items and then we'll have Brian come in.
Yep.
Does anyone have any other questions about scheduling? And yes, we will put things on your calendars once they're all firmed up. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the New York State EDC sponsorship. As we discussed in the LDC, the end of May is the New York State EDC's annual conference in Cooperstown. Fred will be participating. Typically or historically, we have supported this event. Historically, we've given 5,000. We received a request for them for sponsorship. Does anyone have any questions? Would you like to do this? You probably should recuse.
I can abstain.
Okay, you can abstain? Okay, Fred's gonna abstain.
I'll make a motion that we contribute the same amount as we have in the past.
Thank you, Felix.
I'll second that, Frank. Oh, sorry, Gary.
That's okay.
Hello?
Who's the
Yep.
second?
Something
Myself.
just happened. I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Felix, I heard you make the motion and Gary's doing the second.
Yes.
And then, any questions? Okay, on the vote, Lenore,
Yes.
Anne Marie,
Yes,
Marty,
Yes, yes,
Gary,
Yes.
Felix? Felix?
Doesn't look muted.
I know, I don't think Felix can hear me all of a sudden. Okay, well, we still have enough votes. Frank?
Yes.
Okay, and
I will abstain.
Fred is abstaining. Okay, thank you, everybody. The next item on the agenda is the LIBDC luncheon. Sorry, I'm just making a note. LIBDC luncheon. This is something that we have done. Yeah, Felix just sent us a note that his sound went out. He can't hear anybody. All right.
I think we just, Felix, can you hear us?
He can't. He just sent us a note to that effect.
Maybe he's got to go out and get back in.
I'm going to send him a text. I can't spell. Okay, so the next item, like I was saying, is the New York LIBDC luncheon. We've done this many years in the past. We have it scheduled for June 21st at Stella's, which is at the end of, thank you, Nichols. I was not going to come up with that. Typically, we authorize a sponsorship up to $5,000. This year, we've asked that Brookhaven Lab do a presentation on Discovery Park. So that's going to be the speaker. That'll be the presentation. So I just wanted to let everybody another thing to put on your calendars, which we will add. A luncheon. I don't think we have a time exactly, but lunch. So we're gonna wait a little bit till we get the exact time that it starts. So we're not moving stuff around on your calendars, but June 21st, lunch, Stella's, and
He's a very entertaining speaker. Discovery Park has been in the works there for a number of years. It'll be nice to get an update as to what they're doing at Brookhaven National Lab. Need a motion to that effect?
Motion,
so move.
Thank you.
Frank Trotta.
My colleagues at Brookhaven.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Is there an IBDC conference in Montauk this year?
every year,
Okay, when is that?
Little early for that.
September.
We
Oh,
will-
okay.
Well, the dates have already been established. We don't have them, but
Yeah.
we'll give them to you at the next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
On the motion, Mr. Trotta,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci, if you can hear us. If not, Mr. Callahan,
yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, that motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is the May meeting. In the LDC, we voted to move the meeting to May 4th. I never even sent this to Felix. Why is this not working? Technology.
He's either talking to himself or to us.
He heard you, Frank. You got a smile on his face.
That's what I was looking for, a reaction.
He can hear us, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, well,
If I only knew sign language.
we're getting towards the end.
Do you need a motion to move the
You can give us a thumbs up.
IDA meeting to the 4th?
Yes, that's
Correct.
exactly what we need.
I would make that motion, Frank Trotta.
Thank you, Frank.
Is there a second?
Lenore
Andrew.
Paprocki will second.
Thank you. On the vote, Mr. Callahan,
Yes,
Oh, he can hear us.
Mr. Grucci, if you can hear us, raise your hand. Thank you.
No.
Paprocki,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Scheit,
Yes,
Trotter.
Yes,
Braun votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, so then the only other item on the agenda is a unless anybody has anything else, is a presentation by Todd Shapiro Associates. Joss, if you would bring Brian and Alan in, and part of what they're going to talk to us about is the networking breakfast at Topgolf that's scheduled for Wednesday, May 11th at 9 a.m.
Lisa, it's Annette. I'm gonna sign off. Happy Easter to everybody and a holy Passover also.
You as
Thank you,
well.
Annette. You too.
Take care.
take care,
Bye-bye,
Annette.
everybody.
Careful.
Annette.
Brian, you're muted if you want to unmute and
I'm sorry, I was having muting and stop video problems, but can everybody see me now?
yes.
Ken,
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. All right. Shall I take it away, Lisa? Yeah. All right. So in the interest of brevity, without getting into the minutia about social media, I mentioned last time we had a pretty at length discussion about retargeting some other metropolitan areas and broadening the audience a little bit on Facebook specifically. Me and Gary could talk about the LinkedIn offline, but we actually had some pretty significant success in that targeting. I'm not talking in the hundreds, but baby steps to grow. So we had 32 new page likes last month, or over the past month since the last meeting. Our reach on Facebook has gone up 122.5%. We had 98 unique new, or 98% more unique page views, and a majority of that, or about 60% of that, makes up the 25 to 44 age group. That's on the Facebook side. As far as the testimonials, which we also discussed, if Alan would like to jump in, he can as well. But we've received commitments from 4 separate former projects of the IDA, who we're just finalizing dates. And once we get those dates, some individuals are more inclined to videotape themselves or selfie camera themselves with a testimonial or something along those lines than others. So we're seeking their preference on whether they'd like me or someone else on our team to go and do the video for them. So that is in the works. We should probably have some finished product to you over the next week or so. Definitely by the end of the month, but hopefully sooner than that. We have a pending article in the Brookhaven Messenger, which I believe it was either Fred or Frank asked us to try to get a 411 style article about introducing the Brookhaven IDA to the residents in a digestible way. So the Brookhaven Messenger is interested in doing that. We're working with them and Lisa and Alan on our team and the Brookhaven Messenger to publicize that. Third and finally, to answer a couple of questions that were posed earlier. So the Topgolf Business Breakfast is a go. It's on May 11th at 9 a.m. It's open to everyone's individual universes, but the people that we will be targeting, as per your direction, I think it was in the February meeting, is people in Nassau County, people of certain industries that are compatible with the IDA, the commercial real estate, and other industry. And we're not going to be putting it out specifically or exclusively to the audience that has been there in the past, in the interest of bringing in new faces and interacting, with new, people that might have not had so much exposure in the past to the Brookhaven IDA. So that's our goal, given that we are now 2 days short of a month away from that. We're going to kick it into high gear, do some direct targeting via email with invitations. We'll, on our side, set up an RSVP sheet so that their contact information is saved and we could always revisit. If there was someone there that was of particular intrigue or of, that could forge a fruitful, working relationship between the IDA and also their industry or their company, we can share that information and go through and try to build relationships off of that. So that kind of puts a bow on what we have without getting too much into the minor details, because I know everybody's time is valuable and I could be long-winded.
Sounds good, Brian.
Does anybody have any
progress.
questions?
Questions for Brian?
No, he made some progress. That's good, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you. And I gotta thank Gary. We're gonna have a really robust LinkedIn revival per se. I mean, I've had some internal discussions. I've had some discussions with Gary, who shared some valuable insight, and we're laying the groundwork per se for some real growth there. And at the very least, some real content. So as of in the coming days, I'll be in touch with everyone. I'm going to pose to Lisa an action plan for that. And that can be discussed more offline.
And Frank, we should have just a couple of tweaks to that article that Brian has put together for the Messenger. We'll probably finish that up today. That should be ready to go.
Yeah, Amy did a good review of it and had some feedback on it.
Yeah, and kudos to Alan. Alan did a lot of the structural work on that. So I think it looked good as a first working draft. So when we submit it, we will submit it.
Anything else for Brian or Brian for us? All right, hearing none. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
If no one has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion, Mr. Chairman, Frank Trotta.
Second,
Second, Anne Marie Scheit.
thank you. On the vote, Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Grucci,
He's raising his hand to indicate yes.
Ms. Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Scheit,
Yes.
Trotta.
Yes.
Yes, the motion is adjourned. I would ask you to hold on